Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Crisis Report. It is July 13th, 2025. Sunday. We're going to be telling you all about it. The blowback is continuing. So, all I can say is this. I don't do cults. I don't do cult of personality stuff. I take every issue as it comes. I lean towards the conservative side. I am not hardcore right. I don't even think there really anyone is hardcore right. In fact, I've said this many times. If you look at the way the Trump administration is, it is basically centrist left politics of the 1990s. It's early Clinton, 1994, if you really look at the way things are. So it's not, everybody coming out saying, far right. It's BS. The Epstein thing still has a lot of problems with it. I still have a lot of problems with it. Now, I'm going to keep an open mind. I'm going to hope that maybe there is some 375,000 degree chess going on, or 6792 degree chess, as we say in PrepperNow world. But as it stands right now, there's a lot of unresolved things with it. And so there is a blowback going on. They're at Talking Points USA conference. Everybody's, trying to get a gauge of the room of what they are feeling about this. I think Ingram from the Ingram angle was up there, and she asked, and say, how do you guys feel about this? And everybody in the room booed. No one clapped. No one was like, oh well, we'll get over it. I don't think that the president's reaction has been great. I think there's a lot of turmoil inside. That's what I'm going to report on. And they're going to need to figure this thing out. It's just the way it is. So Amir Sarfati came on and said, hey, everybody should trust the experts and all that. That's all fine and well. We should trust the experts. We should get a full accounting. But I can tell you this. People aren't stupid. People have an idea of what really went on and what this whole thing was, at least in a general broad level, what it was doing. And they want to see people be arrested for it because there were a lot of people that were hurt. It wasn't tens of thousands, but it's still enough people that if you were doing nasty crap with this, you need to be held accountable. Okay? So I hope they get this all figured out. I'm still, largely happy with what the president is doing. I like most things going on. I think there's a lot of problems in the background that we need to deal with. We cover that over on PrepperNow. I'm worried about the economy. I think there's a lot of problems with that people aren't really fully addressing, and hopefully we'll start to get it going. I think the housing market is in a problematic state. I think inflation is not really curbed or, going in a good way. And I think there are a lot of people in the background that are doing whatever they can to derail what's going on with the president's agenda, And there's a lot of things I think he's doing good, but there's a few things I want to have a better explanation for. So that, my friends, is the spiel. Okay, I know people get all mad and stuff, and oh, you're not giving him a chance, or whatever. This isn't team sports here. This is my country. This is my children's future, and I want them to have a good one. And any kind of corruption or financial mismanagement or problems, I worry about the debt, the deficits. All that is going to land on my children's shoulders. So it's not about hoping someone wins or fights the good fight against whoever. It's about having a solid, safe country for my family, because I'm not going to be here forever. And I want my daughters and my son to inherit, at least a chance at having a good life, whatever that may be. you know. So I mean, it's pretty much well out there now that these generations coming up, and it's not Trump's fault or any of this. This goes back decades, and this is nothing that has happened over the last 4 to 8 years. But they're going to be poorer than the generations that were before. I mean, I'm not going to blame boomers for that, or I'm not going to blame anything. I think it's a whole combination of things, and we do smart things from here to try to get things back on track. And all the people that are vampiring off the system and doing the nasty things that they're doing and making it so we can't fully recover or get things back in a good way, well, we got to figure that out as well. Okay? So, because this is all larger than us. This isn't about, one person or, someone. I don't know. We need statesmen again. Okay? And I'm not saying Trump isn't, but I'm just saying we need statesmen again. We need people that put country before personal gain. And again, I'm not saying that Trump's doing that. I'm sure people come on and say, yes, he is. I'm just saying we need to get back to a set of people in our political class that are closer to George Washington, okay, than, insert your, POS politician sieving off the system for decades, okay? All right, there's your spiel. Oh, shoot. I got long-winded. 6 minutes in. This broadcast, as well as anything now with PrepperNow Crisis Report, is brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals. There will be a link in the description. I don't have it currently. Actually, it might be in there. But there is a affiliate link where you can click on that, and it's just an education type thing. If you are considering possibly rolling over your finances into a gold or silver backed IRA. More people are doing this. I've been approached by multiple companies. I chose Augusta because of their leadership, and we had a great conversation, and they've been very communicative. But the main thing is that they really don't have any negative reviews. They're not like your typical ones. They're not looking to snare people, and they're doing things right, and their reviews show it. Okay. So if you're into that, great. If not, totally cool, whatever. These broadcasts will have that little spiel for about 30 seconds before, and then we'll move on. All right, let's get started with your crisis report for July 13th, 2025. Here we go. Oh, by the way, we put our first video in a while up on this one right here about the BRICS. So that's the GIC. Go check that out if you can. Videos are now going to start to go up there. I'm putting multiple videos on Rumble now. They've got 5 now in the last week. So if you're not on Rumble, go on over there and give me a like, please. Counteract my dedicated downvoter that has been following me around for well over 3 years and downvoting everything. I could put like the secret to life and offer him a way for him to make money, and he'll downvote it. So I respect and admire his persistence. All right, friends, and we are persistent here. The crisis report rolls on. Here we go. Elon Musk, after Trump defended Epstein and refused to release the files, quote, "This is a very big deal. What the H kind of system are we living in if thousands of kids were abused?" And it wasn't thousands from what I read. It's hundreds. Doesn't matter. I'm not, sitting here splitting hairs. One is too many. The government has videos of the abusers, and yet none of the abusers are even facing charges. Now, maybe there's things going on in the background, but a lot of people are just seeing that, and they're unhappy. It is what it is. Super King airplane crashed London Southend Airport. Fars agency reported that Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian sustained minor injuries to his leg during the Israeli attack targeting a meeting of the Supreme National Security Council on June 16th. German Chancellor Merz now says he doesn't like what Israel's doing in Gaza. Just weeks ago, he praised Israel for doing the dirty work for all of us. Today, Israel launched its most advanced comms satellite, Dror 1, on a SpaceX Falcon 9 from Florida. 200 million smartphone in space will handle civilian and military comms for 15 years. Trump says, let Pam Bondi do her job. He defended her, the AG, against a backlash over the Epstein files. Israel has launched communication satellite from Florida, covered. North Korea said on Sunday it stands ready to take military action to counter any security threat against it in a warning against the United States. I'm going to put my glasses on. South Korea and Japan, much better, following a recent aerial drill by the Allies with a U.S. strategic bombers, according to Reuters. Official Elmo account has been hacked. It's incredibly anti-Semitic what it says, and they evidently have it back. It's all over. Just put Elmo into your Google search, and you'll see all the wonderful things that were said. Trump says he spoke with FBI Deputy Director Bongino today and believes he is in good shape. Bongino, of course, is reportedly, now we don't know if this is true, but he is reportedly very angry with what has gone on with the Bondi Epstein files thing. We shall see. Gotta do it. It's a thing. Trump says hopes to get Gaza straightened out over the next week. Trump administration officials are at odds over the handling of the Jeffrey Epstein investigation, with Justice Department and FBI leaders blaming each other as they face pressure from Trump's base to release more information, according to the Washington Post. Now, some people are saying that the leftist media, places like Washington Post and others, basically all of them, their legacy media, are stoking this thing. They're saying that, they're pushing this, and there really isn't as much of a divide, and they're trying to do whatever they can to divide the MAGA base and all that. Kash Patel wants Pam Bondi out and might quit if Dan Bongino leaves. There's also frustration over other documents Bondi hasn't released. Daily Wire's White House correspondent has reported. Trump on Butler hit attempt the year ago today. I was really saved by somebody very special to save our country. They're assuming he is referring to the Lord, God. This is the 1-year anniversary of the Butler attempt in Pennsylvania, where anybody with, a modicum of ability to climb a ladder could have gone and almost taken out anyone. And we lost Corey Camperatore, I believe his name is, the guy. He was a fireman. He was hit and succumbed to his injuries. His wife has been doing the media rounds with his daughters. They're incredibly unhappy with the handling. 6 different Secret Service members basically were suspended. And from what they're looking and seeing, basically, it was a complete and total fustercluck, as my father would say, of what happened. And it should have never gotten to anywhere. And Mr. Comparatore should not be dead. 150 plus drones right now over Ukraine, monitoring agency reports. Been a lot of activity. It's getting overlooked with all domestic crap. A lot of activity going on in Kiev. MiG, or MiG-31K, preparing for takeoff later today, capable of carrying the Kinjal hypersonic missiles. A lot of stuff going on in Eastern Europe. North Korea says it is ready to take military action against the U.S., Japan, South Korea over their joint air drills. The U.S. strategic bombers, KCNA, North Korean outlet, has reported. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte will travel to Washington to meet Trump during a 2-day visit. Negotiations with Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Secretary of Defense Hegseth are also planned. NATO press release does not name the immediate cause of the Rutte visit, which will begin on Monday. However, Reuters notes that it was on Monday, July 14th, Trump planned a certain important statement after he announced his readiness to supply weapons to Ukraine through NATO. We're going to be reporting on that. He's saying no money is coming from anywhere of importance. We'll see. There was a budget surplus of $25 billion, I believe it was, for June. That's cool. Tariffs evidently brought in a lot more. But now that the bill is passed, a bunch of new debt has been staked out and issued. It depends on what source you want to go to. If they're going to defend the debt and all that, then they're going to say everything is wonderful. If they're not, well, and that's why here on the Crisis Report, we cover both sides. Russia plans a large-scale offensive in Ukraine second half of the summer, according to The Bild. Cities in mainland Ukraine that were founded before Moscow in 1147, and Kiev is one of the traditional capital cities of that region. Yet somehow Russia is supposed to be Ukraine's older brother. Should Putin action be seen as a kind of whatever? This guy. Trump administration cancels offshore patrol cutters at Eastern shipbuilding over delays and rising costs. Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem announced yesterday the partial termination of a contract with Eastern Shipbuilding Group ESG, 2 offshore patrol cutters, citing significant delays and cost concerns. Administration is unwavering in its commitment to the American taxpayer and to a strong, ready Coast Guard. Senior Homeland Security officials said, "We cannot allow critical shipbuilding projects to languish over budget and behind schedule. Our Coast Guard needs modern, capable vessels to safeguard our national and economic security." Decision affects OPCs 3 and 4 under ESG's contract. According to DHS, ESG delivery of OPC 1 was initially scheduled for June 2023, but has been delayed until at least late 2026. Company also missed its April 2024 delivery date for OPC 2. Coast Guard stopped work on OPC 3 and 4 after ESG reportedly notified the service earlier this year that they could not fulfill their contractual obligations without incurring unabsorbable loss. Action follows a similar decision last month when Secretary Noem canceled a delayed Legend-class national security cutter contract with Huntington Ingalls Industries, or HII, which reportedly saved taxpayers $260 million. This is from G Captain. All of these links, if I have them, when I get these sources, you can go on here to the Substack. It is preppernow.substack.com, and you can follow it to wherever you want to go. All the links are there. It's a full transcript of what we do here daily. Join the almost 500 people that get it. North Korea is now supplying much 40% of Russia's ammunition for the war in Ukraine as the partnership between the two deepens, according to the head of Ukrainian military intelligence. Kim Jong-un's regime is also sending other weapons to Russia, including ballistic missiles, artillery systems. Kirill Budanov said in an interview with the Bloomberg News, he plans to be president after Zelensky, by the way. Russia is providing money and technology to North Korea in return, helping to ease Pyongyang's international isolation, he said. Those are good weapons, Budanov, who attributed 60% of losses in military intelligence units in the past 3 months to strikes by North Korean-made artillery, said in the office in Kiev. North Korea has a huge stockpiles, and production goes on around the clock. It's a militaristic state. It is what it is. NVIDIA market cap now reflects 3.6% of total global GDP. That is huge. This comes as NVIDIA is officially the first company in history to hit 4 trillion in market cap. By comparison, the entire UK and France markets account for 3.2% and 3.1% of world GDP, respectively. They're literally larger than some of the largest nation states out there. Furthermore, the German stock market represents just 2.8% of the global economy, a 0.8 percentage points less than NVIDIA. NVIDIA is making history. Again, this is the Kobesi letter for finances. There's absolutely nothing finer. This is right here. If you want to find it again, that is on the Substack. Throughout next week, major cities in Taiwan will hold air raid drills as part of the 2025 Urban Resilience Plan. People are encouraged to follow along in both private and public places. Some public transport will disembark passengers and practice evacuation. The EU population has hit 450 million. Immigration has marked the largest demographic collapse. Immigration has masked a demographic collapse. As of January 2025, the EU population reached 450 million, thanks entirely to net migration. Native birth rates continue to plunge, and deaths outnumber births significantly. They're aging. Approximately 3.6 million births, 4.8 million deaths, 2024. Contingent is aging rapidly. Migrant inflows, demographic gaps, but also bring new strains on pension systems and public services. Regions, population divide emerges. Germany, France, Italy hold nearly 50% of the EU population. Eastern nations like Hungary, Poland, and the Baltics face serious decline, fueling internal disparities and regional imbalance. And immigration policy under pressure. Europe's reliance on migration for growth is drawing scrutiny as member states debate stricter border controls, enhanced integration, and long-term sustainability amid public concerns. As a guy that has been through the north of Paris, it looks like you're looking at a Middle Eastern scene that has the backdrop of a Parisian street. The immigration there, like you think we have immigrants here, you have no clue if you haven't been there. It is absolutely stunning to see how many like ladies in burqas and just the whole thing. It was eye-opening to say the least. And it's all the major cities. Now, when you get out into the hinterlands, it gets a little bit less. Brussels definitely had a large population. Rouen had a large population. And you're sitting there and you're seeing these, ladies in all of their traditional garb. And in the background, you're like looking at the Notre Dame to Rouen, and you're like, oh my God, like this is such a juxtaposition. It's a very interesting thing to see in real life. That's why I went there, because to be honest with you folks, as it just said that last post, Europe is dying. It really, really is. So let's compare. United States saw 62,000 more births than the entire European Union in 2024. That's right, 62,000 more births in America than the entire 450 million people of the EU. That's despite having 100 million plus less people in America. Reasons? Non-Hispanic white, TFR, that is the replacement, 50% of births. That's above 1.5 versus European TFR, that's 1.3. Of course, Hispanic TFR, 25 to 30% of births, that's above 1.9. You want to be 2.1 or more, okay? That's the way it is, because two people have a child. You want to replace that with 2, with this TFR. TFR is just the ratio of how you replace a society with births compared to deaths. If your TFR is under 2, then you are going to see population decline. If your TFR is 2.1 or more, then it'll either sustain. But if you get 2.3 to 5, 2.5, then you might see an increase. And that's really kind of what they need. And that's the problem with all these pension systems and everything. They are reliant, like debt and like all of these, communities and countries, they're relying on a population growth. So if your TFR is 1.3, 1.5, 1.2, 1.9, whatever under 2, you got problems. So United States non-Hispanic whites have a TFR of 1.52, Hispanics 1.92. All of the groups, all of those are below 1.5. The fact that 75% plus of births are to groups with above 1.5 TFR fully explains the growing birth gap with the EU. I think theirs is like 1.2 or 3. Both US and EU have very high fertility immigrants. Key difference between the two entities is the demographic performance of the non-immigrant majority. In the US, the fact that non-Hispanic whites have a TFR above 1.5 is huge, as most of the EU European majority is on a 1.3. So that would be your European Americans and stuff. And honestly, it's the religious groups, the Christians, the Orthodox and such, Jewish community. They're not keeping up, but they're also not as dire as Europe. But, the only groups that are really replacing themselves, from what the statistics are saying, are basically the Christians and the religious. So it's a very interesting thing. I know you guys are probably like, dude, move on. But like, to me, it's very fascinating, because this is the kind of thing that like nobody's talking about. People come on like, do this one thing, or this is crazy, or look at this terrible video. Like what I just read right there is going to affect you more in the next 20 to 50 years than all of the crap videos out there on this platform. And there's a lot of them. There's a lot of great channels. I'm not talking smack on the channels themselves. We all do what we have to do to get eyes on the channels and stuff. But this thing is really a big story, and it's starting to become more and more large. And the reason why is because we are not replacing ourselves in the West. And we're trying to do it through migration. And these people that are coming do not hold the same type of values and just, orthodoxy, whatever you want to call it, politics that the West does. So it's making us change, and you're seeing the results. I'll leave it at that. Moving on. 7 days of large-scale Russian strikes on Ukraine, 1,800 drones, more than 1,200 guided bombs, 83 missiles of various types. Russians are intensifying terror against cities and communities to increasingly intimidate our people. Trump said Epstein half a dozen times while telling everyone to stop talking about Epstein, according to Elon Musk. He said, just release the files. Russian Foreign Ministry says the Axios publication claiming that Putin allegedly urged Iran to accept a nuclear deal with the U.S. is, quote, dirty politicized campaign. So they're denying it. Freedom has never been so threatened since 1945, says Macron. Lindsey Graham, in the coming days, we will see a record flow of weapons to help Ukraine defend itself. Oh, yay. In a time of predators, no one can remain on the sidelines, according to Macron. And Lady Graham says a turning point regarding Russia's invasion of Ukraine is coming. They also said this congressional package that we're looking at would give President Trump the ability to impose 500% tariffs on any country that helps Russia and props up Putin's war machine. He can dial it up or down. He can go to 0%, 500%. He has a maximum flexibility. But we're going after the people who keep Putin in business, and additional sanctions on Russia itself. This is truly a sledgehammer available to President Trump to end this war. Macron announced that France will double its 2017 military budget by 2027, 3 years earlier than originally planned. Defense budget, which was 32 billion euros in 17, will rise to 64 billion euros by 2027. Defense Minister Pistorius, this is German, to the Financial Times, says Germany will not deliver long-range Taurus missiles to Ukraine. They go back and forth on that every week. We're going to. No, we're not going to. So, German Defense Minister Pistorius says we only have 6 Patriot systems left in Germany. That's really too few, especially considering the NATO capability goals we have to meet. We definitely can't give any more. DNI Director Tulsi Gabbard says a real war is underway against the deep state, and they're pushing back hard every step of the way. That's kind of the gist of what she said. All right, here's an interesting one, and I wanted to get it verified. Chicago Public Schools is now bankrupt. $734 million deficit after covering costs for new neighbors, and is being forced to lay off 1,458 employees, including 432 teachers, 677 special education aides. So I went to the Google machine, and I wanted to see what they had to say about it. So this will give the other side. This guy is on the right side of things. Google's going to give me the left side, but it does ultimately back it up. Number of layoffs, 1,458. Number of teachers, 432, gone. Other staff affected, paras as we call them, special ed or SPED, classroom assistants, security, parent workers. That's going to be 677. Reason for layoffs. Now they're saying enrollment shifts, school-specific needs, and programmatic decisions. CBS is working to close a $734 million budget deficit. And what they're saying is they expect most laid off staff will be rehired within the district. But I can tell you right now, as I've seen these things happen, it's not looking good. That is quite the budget deficit. And the only thing that Chicago can do is what all leftist blue cities do, is raise taxes to give crappier services while taking more of your money. By the way, if you'd like to hear more about that, go on over to PrepperNow. I just did a video on government waste and what they're doing to try to keep our housing and everything affordable, and all they're really doing is making it worse. They're going to turn the Palisades, where the fires were in Los Angeles, they're going to turn that to low-income housing. It's frightening what they're trying to do because they're stupid. U.S. Secret Service reportedly had intelligence about a potential threat to Trump 10 days before the rally in Butler. Trump to launch a new program to fast-track and simplify the visa process for new neighbors. Now, this is for the migrant workers. It is a visa system, and it is something that is a little bit more official. This is something the country has done before. If you know the Bracero program from World War II, we are seeing some problems start to fan out into, the food production and hospitality and other things that are generally, worked by immigrants. So, for better or for worse, we'll see where that goes. President Trump says the United States is spending $0 on the upcoming weapons to Ukraine. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I hope it is, but I doubt it. Syria signs an $800 million deal with UAE's DP World to redevelop Tartus port, aiming to boost post-war reconstruction. Shooting at Richmond Road Baptist Church, Lexington, Kentucky. 2 people died, 3 injured, including a state trooper. The suspect was shot dead. I'll have that person's identity and his mentality, and I'll just have you guys take a big, wild guess to what side of the political aisle he's on. And this is a late one. Ghislaine Maxwell, you might know her, is willing to testify in front of the U.S. Congress about the Epstein files. Okay. Unknown drone, likely launched by Iranian-backed militants, has been downed tonight near the U.S. consulate in Erbil, Iraqi Kurdistan. Russian channels on Telegram are currently discussing about planning for a potential attack by Ukrainian intelligence and allies against Moscow, Tatarstan, and other regions in the rear, using hundreds of drones and long-range missiles that have been procured and provided by NATO. That could have a problem. And today's Kentucky church shooter is identified as Guy E. House. He is a Free Palestine radical leftist. Who could have thought? All right, friends, that is your crisis report for the 13th of July, 2025. Again, I know, I'm just telling you what's going on. We go from all over. Don't get mad and say, oh, you're just doing one thought or one. I get it from everywhere, and I try to be as down the middle as possible. I have my total political beliefs and everything. I'm on the right side of politics. I'm not far right. But there's a lot of stuff going on that concerns me, and I hope we get it right. I hope they fix it, and we'll give them time to. So we'll see. And if not, well, we'll work harder to get someone in there. And I look forward to the many comments saying, you can't fix anything with politics. You can't fix it's all going. We'll see. Maybe you're right. Friends, this message has been brought to you by Augusta Precious Metals, channel sponsor now. Check them out, AugustaPreciousMetals.com, or go to the link in the description, which will take you to my affiliate page, which is good because it gets me the lead. You don't have to do anything. Just because you click on that link doesn't mean you're going to suddenly put everything into gold and silver. It just means they're going to give you an education packet and try to get you versed on why many people are choosing alternative IRAs like gold and silver, and they are basically the leader of the pack. So, friends, God bless. Maybe you want to become a member like Winning Streak or Water Tiger. They are $2 a month to support the channel. Keeps the news coming. It helps. Makes the old wife understand why I'm sitting there tabulating on my phone as we're watching crappy television. So I can come here at 11:30 on a Sunday night and tell you basically everything in about 30 minutes compared to what you would have to watch about 25 videos over to do and get the same information. So, and we're generally about 12 to 18 hours ahead of everybody else. So, yeah, it's because I got a system and it works. All right, friends, God bless. Thanks so much for being here. Consider other places like X, Minds, Gab, Twitter, True Social, and of course there's Subscribestar and Locals. I need to post a little bit more there, but those are also a few dollars a month. Just a great way to tip me for working. I made 4 videos today, folks. 4. I made a video for GIC. I made a video for Rumble. I made a 50-minute live stream on PrepperNow, and then I just did about almost 40 minutes here on the Crisis Report. So, yeah, we're putting in the time, but that's because I love you and I love doing it, and I love coming here and telling you all about it. And, yeah, so thank you so much. God bless. We'll see you on the next one.